shared out of a physical resource.
Okay, okay. Sure, okay. And what are the components? I'm looking for some components, like when you look at a server or an enclosure, what are the main things that you think that makes a server or a VM or a physical server? You got the question? Shubham, are you there? Hello? Hello, Shubham.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
By mistake, it got disconnected.
That's
Yeah.
no problem. Do you still see my screen?
Yeah, now I can see your screen.
Okay, okay, perfect. So yeah, so the question is, what do you think makes a server? What are the core components of a server?
Means hardware wise you were talking, hardware components
Yeah,
wise you were talking.
hardware. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, definitely memory,
Okay.
processor,
Yeah.
system board,
Mm.
drives 1, 2, 3, 4 kg if there, then more,
Mm.
12,
Mm.
24 like that.
Mm.
Uh, but memory, processor, and HBA connection and
Yes.
network card. So
Yes.
for communicating with the external world, as simple
Yes.
as that.
Perfect. Perfect.
Hmm.
Shubham, you're making my job very easy, actually. So, in general, I would have to explain all these components for a normal person, but since you're familiar with the concepts, uh,
Mhm.
that's very good to know that you all know these concepts. First thing, as you said, there are four main
Because
components.
I'll just add here one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'm making you things easy, but I want really want to excel
Okay.
in this particular subject. Really want to excel.
Sure. 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 Yeah.
Just help me on this, brother.
Yeah. 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 For sure. Okay. So four main components here. I'm just going to list out, as you said. First and the foremost, for any component, for any server or even your phone, right? They have a processor. That is the CPU. Am I correct? Shubham, can you hear me?
Yeah. I actually at times I'm muting the phone so that the echo doesn't come. So
Oh,
that's all. Yeah.
okay. Okay. No
Go.
problem.
No worries. Please go ahead. Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'm not getting any echo. You're getting echoes.
No, I am not. I'm fearing that you may. That's why I'm muting. So
I'm
if
not
you're
getting.
not getting, then it's fine.
No. Yeah, we can be on not unmute. So,
Okay, unmute. Okay. Hmm.
okay. So the first and foremost component is the CPU. CPU is the base for all the processor. So
Correct.
that's the CPU. And then comes the RAM. For all my jobs
Memory.
to be processed, I need a RAM. I need a memory card or a DIMM. So this
Hmm.
is RAM. And then
Hmm.
we all need to store the data. We need to safeguard all the information. For that, we go for storage.
Hmm.
So storage is of multiple types: local hard disk or SAN, storage area
Correct.
network, or USB, any storage. So
Hmm.
that's the third component that makes a physical server or a normal application to run. Next
Hmm.
is main component, which is the network. The network card helps us to communicate to the external world, so that we can make our data shared, or we can communicate to the external world.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So these are the four
Correct.
components. Okay. This is what makes not. So if you are running an application, let's say
Hmm.
WhatsApp in your phone,
Hmm.
requires all these four components to be working simultaneously. Only then I can communicate to the external network. You have a CPU in your phone, your smartphone. You have a RAM, and you have a storage, your memory card or something. You also have a network card, that is your SIM card, right? So that
Correct.
Shubham.
I am there. I am there. It just reset. My network reset most likely.
Okay, okay, no problem. So yeah, this is the four things. This is the four thing that will be in a normal server for any application to run. Okay.
Correct.
Now in VMware, what we are doing is, let's say this is a bare metal. This is a HP hardware that I bought. Let's say it's a HP Reliant DL360 or 380, and I bought it. I just bought it, and for sure it will have a 8 CPU, and then it will have like 64 GB RAM, and then I will have a local hard disk of 2 TB, and then I have a NIC card, 2 NIC cards connected, 10 gig NIC cards.
Correct.
Now, the moment I purchase a bare metal, I'm going to put a ISO on it or a OS on it. That's going to be my ESXi software. So what I will do, I will go to VMware site. I will go to this place, VMware compatibility. Okay. You can click on this. And then I'll first check what is my hardware. So I'm going to say, for example, I'm going to use HP. I'm going to use a Blade server. And I'm going to use latest version of ESXi. This is 6.7 latest version. And then I do everything, and then I click on update. So I get all the models of HP and what are the supported device, what should be my CPUs series, and I get the supported versions. Okay. So I want this version now. What I will do, I will click on this version, and then it will take me to the site. Now I can download the ESXi software. Okay. So once I download, it will be like a ISO file.
Okay.
Yeah, it will come like a ISO file for your, like you have a, you've installed, I'm sure you have installed multiple times OSs like Windows or any OS. You've installed it.
I have installed the OS, but not VMware.
Okay, no problem. We will go through that. We will go through the process. That's an interesting session. We will go through the installation session. And what I want to tell you is we will download the software from here. Why we come to compatibility is to check if my hardware supports this. Does my hardware support? So you need to have whatever information is provided here. You need to have the, you need to have 28 sockets, and then you need to have this particular version of CPU. Only then you can expect all the VMware features to work. So in case you have all this information and you come to a VMware product and say my ESXi is not working, the first question they'll ask is go and check the compatibility and confirm that you have all the compatible device.
Okay. For example, you said it's a DL380p Gen 8 server, for example.
Yeah.
I am being a non-VMware guy. I know the part there is something called DL380p Gen 8 quick specs, where I can go and check the specification. But if I'm flipping to the VMware side, then I tell you go to the VMware guide, select HP, select the model, and when you select HP, do you get the model of the server or how do you get it?
So no, HP, if you click, you will get all the HP model. You will get all the model, but if you want to particularly check, you can put the keyword here. What model you said?
DL380.
DL380. I will search only for that. So I will get only 380 models. So it's like you can, this is a very good search model. Well, like you have a lot of pages, you have to sit and check one by one.
Yeah, this is the model I'm talking about. The last but one, DL380p Gen 8.
Yeah.
So once I select that, I'll come to know what is the specification for that, something like that. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what features I support from VMware, all this and all will go in detail. So I brought it here is, now you bought a brand new ESXi, right? Now you want an OS. So I want you to remember that whenever you purchase a product, you have to check the compatibility. Actually, you should have done it before you purchase the product.
Correct.
Before you go to the business and say that we need this OS or this hardware, you should have did research, tell the team that I have researched it and this is the product we need. This is the hardware we need. So you go to compatibility. So this is the link. I will make a note. I will share it. Compatibility. Okay. That you will. So now once you checked, okay, all my compatibility is good. This hardware is valid for all the VMware features I'm looking for. Then what I will install the ESXi. Installation part, don't worry. This is a overview class. We are not getting in detail.
Okay.
So installation, we will talk in detail in a separate class. Only installation. We will install it for you. I will install one test machine. I will install. I will let you with it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. For now, this is the installation phase, and this is where I'm putting my ESXi. Now this process of converting my hardware, my CPU, my RAM, my data, my NIC card, everything I'm converting. This process is called emulation. This is an important term, emulation.
Okay.
This is the job of the hypervisor. If somebody asks what is a hypervisor in a layman term, or if somebody is asking in an interview, or someone asks you what is hypervisor, you can. Hypervisor is a operating system that will emulate the underlying hardware as a software to my applications.
Okay.
Okay. Do you like me to repeat it?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Hypervisor is an OS that will emulate underlying hardware as a software to the application. So the activity of the OS, changing the hardware from physical resource to logical resource.
No changing. No, that word is not right.
Emulating. So that's the word you want to emphasize. Emulating emulating it from a physical resource to a logical resource is the work of the hypervisor.
Exactly. Okay. That's the job of the hypervisor. That is what it is doing actually. But for my application, it thinks it is actually running on this hardware, underlying hardware. But it is actually running on this hypervisor. It doesn't know. This thinks it's running on this particular underlying hardware, but it is actually on the hypervisor only. They don't know. That's the job of hypervisor. That's what it do. Okay.
Now, so that term is called emulation.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Now, see, you purchase a product and you call this as a HP hardware, right? HP hardware or Dell hardware, IBM, Fujitsu, Cisco, whatever it is. Once ESXi, this is called. Once you install the ESXi, it's called host.
Correct.
ESXi, people will say ESXi host or host only. Why we are calling host is because we are going to install all the applications, virtual machines on top of this host only.
So I didn't guess. ESXi host is the virtual machines you are saying?
No. ESXi host is like the. What do you generally mean by the word host? The layman term of the word host is someone is hosting it. Someone is going to take something, right? So take care of all the virtual machines for VMs.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Correct. That's why you called the ESXi the hypervisor as a ESXi host, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So that's the thing. So this is how the general or overview of installation process or how it looks like. Let's break down one by one components and see. So I would like to start with the virtual machine overview. Okay. Now, like we talked about the physical machine, like what are the four components? We had a CPU, and we had a RAM. We had a storage. We had a NIC card. Now, what happens once you install the ESXi, right? This is a virtual machine. Now, how this will see the underlying hardware? I'm telling you like that. This will be VCPU, called virtual CPU. and RAM will be considered as V memory or virtual memory. So these are the terms that comes in the virtual machine. Okay. Storage will be called as hard disks, HDD, hard disk.
Okay.
NIC cards will be called as VNICs.
Okay.
Okay. So any doubt with this?
No.
So you got it, right? So a virtual machine
Yes.
is what we saw on the other diagram, the previous diagram.
Yes.
Where you saw that it was running on a host. So there are multiple levels. Let's say, okay, let's go back to the diagram again. So this is my underlying hardware. I put my OS. This is ESXi. And there is a hardware. Now, once I install a virtual machine, so what happens when I install the OS is, now I will get a console. Every time you have your HP console, right? The management console, ILO.
Correct.
You manage the hardware, right? Likewise, ESXi also has a page where it can let you manage the operating system completely. It will let you handle the CPU, it will let you handle the memory, storage, and RAM, everything.
Okay.
So that page is called as Web Console. Web Console is generally general term. The actual term is Host UI, user interface. Okay.
Okay. Host user interface, host UI. Okay.
Host user interface. So how you use the ILO for the hardware? I want to talk, right? I want to make modification on ESXi. I want to do something with this. So that's what
this host UI is in a different machine.
No, same. You will, so while installing, you will get a IP actually. So you will set a IP.
Okay.
That IP, with that IP, you can put just that IP will take you there.
Correct. So host UI is a web application, you mean to say?
Yeah, it's a web console. Yes.
It's a web console. Now,
one of the console. I'll show you one of the console. Wait.
Okay.
So this is one of the IP address I have installed. Okay. Now what I'm doing, I am just putting the management IP of the host and I'm hitting enter. So it's the UI. You see the URL here? Is going to
UI.
the URL UI. And then I will in as the main account. And it's taking me to the ESXi. You can see this is mentioned as VMware ESXi. This is one host.
Okay.
You can see the name as host. You can see here, right, on the left hand side.
Correct.
So you can see what is my version, what is my uptime, all this normal information. So virtual machines, I will talk about that. So you got done, right, where we can manage it.
Okay. So this, once you install the ESXi, by default, when you install the ESXi, this application get installed. This is a part of the ESXi.
Installation. Yeah. It's a part,
of the installation, and it is called host UI.
UI. Yes.
And there it has an IP address. What you can set or need to set rather.
We need to set it.
And from a from a remote desktop, if it is in the same network, or maybe the networking part I'm keeping aside, you just open that network in your IP address in your IE, and you get a access of the ESXi.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Same logic as ILO. That's why you said about ILO.
Same as ILO. Whatever you do for ILO.
So nothing you physically install in the remote hardware.
No.
So if you have this IP and you have any PC and it has a access to that IP
network.
in an internal network, you can access. Simple.
Yes. That's the beauty of.
I got the logic. Okay, I miss one information. Like you said, memory as vMemory, storage as hard drive as storage. What was the term for network?
Network VNIC, virtual NIC.
1 minute, Prithvi. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll just disconnect this call.
Sure.
1 minute.
Okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. Please go ahead.
Sure. Okay. That's the thing. I wanted to show you how do we access the console and what makes the ESXi console, like how we have ILO, all this thing. Now I'm getting into the another layer. So hardware layer is the first layer, second ESXi layer, third is virtual machine. This is an important layer. There's a virtual machine layer, VM. Okay. So each ESXi has a capacity on how many virtual machine it can run. Okay, it depends upon the version of the ESXi. Let's say my operating system. So ESXi, it starts with so the latest version. Okay, 1 second. You remember we talked about GSX?
Yes.
Oh, that's for workstation. Initial one. And then
1998.
Yes.
Then it came.
ESX.
Then 2008 or so, ESXi.
Yes. So the first version of ESXi they created was 4.0. And then they came up with 4.1. And then they came up with 5.0, 5.5, 6.0, 6.5, and then 6.7. This is the latest version, 6.7. So these many versions, every year they release one version.
Okay.
At least within 18 months, VMware will come up with new version. Why? Ask me why. The answer is you have applications that are released by the application vendors, right? Let's say, what is the ticketing tool that you use?
We use SFDC.
Okay, SFDC is a very good example. SFDC would have created like long back, but they upgrade their application day by day or every year or so, right? So for your underlying hardware, what do? You just increase the RAM. So if you want to boost the application performance, you increase the RAM, CPU storage, that's all. But if you're running virtual machine, you also need to improve the performance of the OS. That is why every year ESXi also, to cope up with the application in the market, they develop coding level changes and they release it as a version. Okay. So I think you're familiar with Microsoft, how they release that, right?
Yes. Windows Word is a classic example. I mean to say MS Office. I'm sorry, what I'm saying. Word. MS Office is a classic example.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Likewise. If you see, that's the one of the application of Microsoft. But if you see the operating system of Microsoft itself, right? If you started, they actually started with Windows NT servers, Windows NT, and then they came up with 2000.
DOS 3 or 4 versions, then Windows NT, then Windows 98. In fact,
no, I'm talking about server. No, I'm talking about servers, not
only servers. Okay.
Yeah, so they came up with the NT servers, and then they came up with 2003, and then there is 2008, and then 2008 R2, and then 2012, and then 2012 R2, 2016. Now it's actually 2019.
Correct.
Right. So that's the Windows level of upgrading the product for the market. Likewise, ESX also want to cope up with the market, because if you not increase, if you not come up with new version, you run out of the market. It's like a car or any product in the market. Like if you take a car or bike or anything, they keep upgrading their versions, right? So likewise, this is the number of versions. It starts with I will go ahead with the tabular column and explain in detail about what is the differences in version. That's a different module. For now, why I brought this is virtual machines capacity depends upon the number of version it's running. Okay. Let's say if it's running on 4.0, then you can create only very, very limited, like 250 of virtual machines. But if you're running in 6.7, you can create more than 2000 VMs in one host. So that means that you can run 2000 applications in one hardware.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
When you say 2000 VM,
yeah,
I understand this part.
Yeah.
Single host or 6.7. Yeah. When you say 2000 VMs, I understand. Why are you saying that's 2000 application? 2000 VM and 2000 application ideally should be a different term, right?
Okay, so that's a good question actually. So what happens is, why do we create a VM is because we put some application on it. So for example, let me tell, I am a, let's take I am a bank. Okay. So my there is a banking infrastructure. So to bank, what all do you think we need? We need one site where users can log in and do transaction. Okay. Is that true?
One second, Priti. 1 second. 1 second. I'll just close the door. Some noise is coming from the side.
Oh, it's okay.
Sorry for the interruption, mate. Please go ahead. Yeah. So I have create 2000 VMs. Look, when you're talking about a bank infrastructure, for example,
let me finish it. You will get a clear idea. Let's take I am a banking sector. I want few applications, like I want one where users can log in and do transactions. Okay. So let's take infrastructure. Let's take this as an example. And I'm taking, this is my web browser now, web server. Through web server, all my users is dedicated for that. And I want a database for all my transactions. I want one transaction that's going to be this database server. And internally, I am having a IT team and they want access for files. So I'm creating a file server. It doesn't mean that I have to do each and every different VM. I can do on one VM itself. I can put web server, database, and file server in the same virtual machine. The thing is, if this virtual machine goes off, you lose the whole environment is down. In case if you want redundancy or if you want a reliable infrastructure, you want to put each and every application in a different virtual machines. That's why when users create virtual machines, we put applications on top of that.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes, but okay. So irrespective now, for example, I have I have created 2000 VMs.
Okay.
But in a single VM, if I install 2 or 3 applications, then I can say in my 2000 VM I have more than 2000 applications.
Yeah, you don't need that much then. So you only.
No, I'm just saying, just for the sake of example, suppose in a particular version I can create 100 VMs.
Yeah.
So I created 100 VMs, and instead of putting one application in each VM, I can put more than one application, as you said. But generally, we do not do it for the not redundancy, for the this one stability or minimal downtime, I would say rather.
Yeah.
In that case, though I have 100 VM, I can have 150 application in those 100 VM.
Yes, you can. Yes.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to. So it is not mandated that one VM means only one application.
No, it's not like that. No. Okay. So it's totally upon your requirement, customer's requirement.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can move on?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. So this virtual machine, this depends of why I brought up all this topic is let you know that each and every ESXi has its own limitation. So in terms of virtual machine, that's this is the number that we have. I will share the maximum configuration down. So I want you to understand that each and every machine has some capacity in terms of virtual machine. That's what you need to remember. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So now let's move on. So we talked about ESXi compatibility hardware on where I showed you the guide on what to do the moment ESXi or before you even purchase, you actually want to see the compatibility before you buy the product. Now let's roll down and we'll talk about shared storage. Okay.
Okay.
The same diagram again and again because that's the basic architecture. So I have a hardware. I put ESXi. Now let's take the big environment. Okay, I'm buying two hardwares, 2 HP. Okay, I am installing ESXi here also. I am naming this server as A server, this host A, host B. Okay, are we good?
Yes.
Yeah. So I am putting virtual machines on top of that. I have two VMs running here. And one specialty with this environment is data. Very huge. Not local disk has only 1 TB capacity, but the environment requires 10 TB. What they do? They buy a sandbox. Let's call it a SAN, storage network. Okay. And I'm not getting in detail again. I'm just giving you an overview of the environment. Okay. So this SAN, you know, can you name some of the products in the market?
3PAR. Let us take 3PAR.
Yes, your product 3PAR. Yes.
Yes, yes.
So 3PAR is one of the major storage providers. There is
3PAR,
EMC.
EVA, EMC. Yes, EMC is one of the big players. Nutanix, I believe they are coming up nowadays.
Exactly.
NetApp.
Nutanix, NetApp, all these are like storage products in the market. Now, my ESX has 2 VMs and all requires 2 TB of data because my is a huge infrastructure. Let's say I'm a Gmail, I'm a Google guy. My requires a lot of emails communicating here and there, large database for that. So I prefer buying an external storage. That is my SAN. So I purchased a 3PAR hardware, and I think 3PAR is a storage guy's work. He will set it up, OS on top of it, and so you use Linux commands to do this, and all will be taken care by storage guy, or not our headache. What is the role of VMware here? That's the point. What is
once the space is created, the LAN to be presented to the VM, is that what?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So what happens? You will LAN like this. It will be a 10 TB LAN. Okay. And then you present the same 10 TB LAN to be visible for both. So yes, host A can also write. ESXi host B can also write. Now this process of presenting the device or presenting the LAN to all the hosts in the environment is called as shared storage. Now, since my host is visible, my data store is visible, now I will be, this VMs, right? This can talk directly. And if the host goes down, if the host had some hardware issue, my data is here, my virtual machine data is here because this is my SAN. I can move the VM1 to here. We will talk about this in detail. Confuse yourself. I want to let the reason we have shared storage. Shared storage, the main reason why we have shared storage is for HA, high availability of the VMs. Okay. So that's the use of shared storage. And what is shared storage? Any doubts in this?
No. So only the term shared storage would come into picture when there is a question of high availability.
Lot of things actually. You have lot of things. The primary is HA, high availability. I will list it out here one by one. Primary is HA. Secondary is capacity. When I want huge capacity. And third one is performance. They have high performance because this is a simple setup what I've drawn here. It won't connect like this. There will be in any SAN environment, there will be a SAN switch. Yesterday, if you remember, we saw.
Yes.
So since you have a dedicated LAN or a network, only for SAN communication, your performance will be weak if you are using SAN, external storage.
Sorry, can you repeat this statement?
Yeah. When you use a dedicated switch, like fabric switch, you're not using your environment's network for your data community. So there are two types of IOs in general. One data, another one is called network IO.
Correct.
This is what we go for SAN. If you want high data IOs, you go for SAN. If you want this one, you use a switch, L2 Ethernet switch, right? So why we go for SAN is I want
FC connectivity much more, 10 times or maybe more powerful than the network switch, the Ethernet switch.
Yes. Okay, bro. So that's the thing. HA, capacity and performance. So those are the reasons. Few of the reasons. A lot of reasons behind it. Management is one of the main thing. Management. When I say management, it comes like, say for example, you have a network outage one day. You want to do like some activity on the network. You're doing a power activity or something. Have same environment for network and SAN, you're losing both. But if you have a SAN, this will be running on the other side. You can do all your network activities on the other side. So that's the thing. So if you ask me benefits, I can keep on benefits, but these are the top three, I would say.
Just repeat this last part, that you have a network outage, and because your Ethernet switch has gone down, you can use the SAN switch to manage the network.
No, you can't use it. Thing is, you won't lose any data. Your data will be safe. It will be not corrupt.
Yeah, because it is through the MC path. It is communicating with the 3PAR or the EMC or the NetApp, whatever the product. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Your data will be secure. See, whenever there is a power outage, there is a chance you will lose data. The data will be corrupted. IOs going in the LAN in the network will abort. Then it's a huge data loss. So companies will not prefer using for data.
Ethernet for data. Yes, they will use FC path. Yes.
Use fabric switch. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Storage is clear. Okay. Now I'll move on to VM network. So networking is little chilled out. It's not a complicated thing. Okay. Now what happens is, just give me 1 second. I have a ping.
Sure, please. Yeah, sure, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, yeah. So the fourth that we're going to talk is the networking level. Let's take the same example. I'm just going to put host A, host B. I'm not going to complete architecture. I'm just going to put host A, host B. I say host A, host B, it is actually on the bare metal. Okay.
VMware, yeah, the VMware host A and the VMware host B.
Yes, yes,
Same
yes,
host concept, right? What you told, the ESXi host.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay, okay.
Now they want to communicate. Now I have VMs running on it,
Hmm.
VM2 and VM3 and VM. Now I want all of them to be on SAN. That's why I have shared storage, and I have present so that they all can see the same data from anywhere.
Hmm.
Now I also want one more thing, network part, which also needs to be a shared one. What I will do, I will use normal switch, fabric switch.
Hmm.
From one port, I will connect each hardware. So now this becomes a shared network. My virtual machine, can you hear me?
No, I didn't actually get this concept. That's why you make a humming sound. I didn't get this.
Okay, no problem. Let me create a new. You got the SAN environment, right? SAN shared storage.
Very clear. Very
Clear.
clear.
Now I'm just going to picturize the same end. Okay.
Hmm.
Host A, I have host B. And so in a normal environment, you have a switch, Ethernet switch.
Correct.
Okay.
No, for connecting the SAN device, the storage device, I will have a switch in the middle. It's a
Yes.
FC switch. Could be a Brocade or
Yeah.
Cisco or anything. The most popular one I'm talking about, Brocade or Cisco.
Yes.
So I have a Brocade switch and I have this server connected to the Brocade switch, FC switch at one end, and I have the EMC storage box connected to the same switch, FC switch at the other end, maybe a different port of the same switch, and I zoned it so that if I do a soft zoning, so that or a hard zoning, whatever it is, so that my server can see the EMC storage.
Yeah.
Now, this is a FC communication switch. And you are talking about Ethernet switch. So I didn't get this part. So
okay. Now let's okay, SAN, you got it clear perfectly. All right. Now now this is environment. Okay, this is my environment.
Correct. Exactly. I was talking about this. Yes.
Yeah. And I have VMs running here, virtual machines. Okay. What is the reason for shared storage?
Both can access high availability, all these things.
Yes, exactly. For so if I'm able to read the data from this host also, or if I move VM2, if I move here also from this host also, I'm able to talk because storage. Right? To move VM to this place, shared network. I can't easily move it.
Okay. Got it. What you mean. Okay, correct. Obviously, without network, how to move the VM?
Yes.
Okay, you are talking about the simple Ethernet network where these two hosts would connect to communicate on the network part.
Exactly. I should have put picture like this. Should be inside the network. You have the SAN. So this is a shared network. Okay. So that's how the shared network. I hope it is clear, or do you want me to describe in detail?
No, this is clear. I'm just trying to figure out the DC environment.
Yeah.
So I have a physical FC Brocade switch and I have a physical, actually no, I have hardly worked on Ethernet switch. Means the basic stuff I have done. Okay, so the main interaction for us is the Brocade switch. I mean to say the FC switch, not the Ethernet switch. So I have the physical Brocade switch and one port is connected to the server. the other port is connected to the 3PAR, and I have a second server which is again connected to port number 2 of the brokerage switch, and port number 1 and port number 2 are the host A and the host B, and port number 3 is the 3PAR. This is to take care of the data communication through the FC channel.
Yeah.
And I have one more Ethernet switch to which the network port of the host A is connected and host B is connected.
Yeah, exactly.
To talk to each other.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Now this is also done. I'm going to the last one, which is a vCenter. Okay. So the term itself is new for you, right? vCenter.
Yes.
Okay.
I heard it once or twice while working on the server environment.
Okay.
I know something that they use this to manage console, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm thinking correctly or not.
You got it. You got it. You're a genius. You already know everything. I think you're.
This vCenter, you are telling about this host UI.
Yeah.
So vCenter is different and host UI is different.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes. Let me explain what is vCenter. Okay.
Okay.
This is one of my hosts. Okay. When I say host, you can collect it. You buy a product, and then you create virtual machines on that, right? This is my host B, and as I told you, this is one of my hosts, right?
Correct.
This is one of my hosts. To manage my host, I have a host UI. For each and
yes.
I have a host UI. Okay. Now, let's say my environment like a 400 host. 400 hosts in my environment.
I got it.
Okay.
vCenter manage all those 400 host UI in a single window.
Exactly. That is called vCenter. So, again, vCenter is a vast concept. Actually, vCenter can be installed in one of the virtual machine VMs, right? One of the VMs in that could be a vCenter VM, or I can create a separated physical machine only for vCenter. Physical machine, I will only put vCenter software on it. vCenter is just a software, actually. I'll tell you. vCenter is like a ISO file. You can download it from the internet.
Is it something like you can install it on your local desktop laptop, or you need a server for it because of its scalability and all those things?
You can install in your desktop, but it requires some set of requirements. It requires 4 GB RAM, and so that again differs. See, vCenter also, like how we have host 4.0, 4.1, 5.1. Same wise, ESX has the same versions. vCenter has the same version: VC 4.0, VC 5.0, VC 5.1, VC 5. Likewise 6.0. So the question what you asked is, should I put it on my desktop? You can put it, but where will this? So this has requirements. You need some amount of database for this. There is a vCenter database, and you need a space for that. So your desktop will not support that feature.
Okay. Now, when you install a vCenter, you must be accessing the vCenter. You are not going to the server every time, right? Because you are sitting here in your office. That means you are accessing the vCenter from your laptop.
Okay. Think like it as an application. Okay. Think like it as an application. vCenter is an application. Okay. Let me create an application. So let me say I have a 400 host environment. Okay. And this is my data center. Okay. So this is the hosts inside the data center. I have a huge amount of data center and it's a hosts. And now in one of the hosts only, I create a virtual machine from here. This is my vCenter appliance. This is one of the virtual machine. Then I will give one IP address for that. Let's say I call it as 192.168.1.10. This is my vCenter IP address.
Okay.
What I will do is, I will put this in the web browser.
Exactly. This is what I was understanding.
Okay, yeah. Now, once I go to the vCenter IP address, I will be able to pull all the hosts into that IP address or that console. From there, I will manage all the 400 hosts.
So, question. Yeah. I am a very, very small organization. Just for the sake of understanding, I'm saying I am a very small organization. I have only 2 physical servers, 2 hosts. I have only 2 physical hosts, and I have a small storage box, like a EVA, small EVA, or a basic hardware storage box. I have a small FC switch. Okay, maybe 24 port FC switch. And I have a small network switch. And I connect everything. In a small room, I set up everything. Now, technically, just to manage these 2 hosts, I may not opt for a vCenter.
No, you don't want it. No, you don't want it. Not at all. You don't need it because vCenter license is very costly. You already buy a host license, ESXi license. Just for 2 hosts, no one will buy a vCenter license because again, it's a costly product. So
exactly.
You will only manage with the whatever you will log into it, and then if you want to go to another host, you will change the IP address. You'll manage it.
Okay. Yeah. So vCenter, you have to shell out separate money just to get this application.
Yes. And okay, there are some beautiful features from vCenter. That's the beauty of VMware actually. So there is something called HA, high availability. And these are all the concepts which we will discuss down the line. This is called DRS. I'm not going to talk in detail. And there is some vMotion or like live motion of virtual machine from one host to another host. Let's say I want, today I have a patch for this host, like HP has released a patch. I want to put that patch on this host. What I have to do, I have to power off all the VMs because I don't have a vCenter. If I have a vCenter, I can right click and move this virtual machine on live from this host to host 2, host 1 to host 2. And then I can see this virtual host completely and then I can use whatever I want to do. But you can do all this only if you have a vCenter. That feature is called vMotion.
Okay.
There is something called FT.
You need to patch the ESXi or the Windows host. Windows guest OS.
Guest OS patching, I can do it from the guest OS. Why do I have to talk about host? I can just log into the virtual machine directly.
And you can do the patching there. So your activity today, for example, was to patching the host. So what you can do, you have a vMotion, you just move all the VMs to a different host altogether. And
empty.
You do the patching. You make it empty and you do the patching and again you bring it back.
Bring it back. And that's possible only if you have this hero center.
vCenter.
Okay. So this is an overview. Don't take it too much. I want you to understand what is vCenter. That's it. vCenter is a console. That's it. That's it for now. So just remember that, and like we will talk about vCenter in detail because vCenter installation, ESXi installation. Once I do that, you will get a clear picture. For now, just understand what is it. Like if somebody says vCenter, what is that? That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we've covered these topics today. I'm going to share this with you in Gmail. And I have also recorded it. I am stop recording. Can we stop here?
Yeah, please. Sure.
Okay. I will stop it here and I will send the recording as well.